G'day everyone and welcome to the Trekzone Spotlight. Matt Miller with you. Joining me from his home in London once again is a man named Gary O'Brien. He was the director and producer of Chance Encounter last year. He's got a new project coming up. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now tell us a little bit about this project that's coming up. I believe it's called The Holy Core.
That's right, yeah. That was originally a working title that we've just kind of stuck with. So yeah, The Holy Core. And it's a next-gen era Star Trek fan film, 30-minute duration, and all original characters, all original cast.
What inspired you to create a fan film in the next generation era?
I think it's probably my favourite era, and because it's my favourite era, I already have some props and costumes and stuff from that era. So obviously in the world of low budget filmmaking, you use whatever you've got to hand, and so it was my favourite, and I also had some stuff lying around that we could use, so it just seemed like the logical place to start was next gen era. Plus I actually don't think you see, I'm not a super expert on watching loads of fan films, but generally it seems it's either sort of post Voyager or the original series as a rule of thumb. So next gen, there doesn't seem to be hundreds and hundreds of next gen out there. So
it's a perfect time frame and rich for exploration because that whole era of the 2360s around the start of next gen, as you say, there aren't any fan films. So there's plenty of stories that you're hoping to tell.
Well, we'll do one at a time. This will be our second. I imagine a lot of people watching this maybe are aware that we've done one before, Chance Encounter, as you mentioned. So yeah, we just do them as one big film project for us, rather than, we don't have any kind of goal of continuing series or characters or anything like that. We just make one film, and yeah, depending how it goes down and whether it goes down at all, funding wise and so on, then yeah, who knows what the plans will be after this one. We just work one film at a time.
Oh, fantastic. Well, can I ask about the funding? How are you achieving that?
We're going to launch a Kickstarter that's going to run through March, so from March the 1st to March the 31st. I forget how many days are in March, but yeah, the whole length of March we'll be running a Kickstarter campaign, and then the film will either happen or it won't, depending how that campaign goes.
It's interesting too that you're a film professional in the UK. A good friend of mine now that I've been talking to for the last couple of years, Aaron Vanderklay in Perth, is also in the film industry, and I'm looking at, well, I'm not looking, I am producing a fan film coming up. Do you think that it seems to be the fan professionals with a hobby in Star Trek that are getting fan films done? And of course I'm referring to one infamous project that we're still waiting for 5 years later.
It's a good question. I suspect that people like myself who are fans and filmmakers, I guess by laws of averages, will produce better quality content. It's just bound to happen that way. And therefore it's likely to get more traction with people because it's going to appeal to more people. I mean, some people will watch fan films of all quality, and good for them, and people should make them at all qualities. But I think the more overlap there is with filmmaking and your profession, then the more likely it is that you'll produce something that a wider amount of people will watch. So yeah, I expect there's some truth in what you say there, that you'll see a trend for more and more professional looking fan films coming out, and no doubt the people behind them will be professional to some degree or other. Yeah.
And the big asterisk, of course, on that is that it's still our hobby. We're still adhering to those guidelines that CBS released, but it is a hobby, and it's just something else that we want to produce, isn't it? Yeah,
certainly. I mean, this will be my sort of, I kind of lose track, but I've proper sort of short films that I've made. This will probably be like the 10th or 11th, something like that, including Chance Encounter. And this is only the second Star Trek one I've done. So yeah, it's something, if you like films and making films, then you're going to find a way to make them one way or another. I'm just in a Star Trek phase at the moment, that's all.
Well, what inspired that Star Trek phase?
When we were, Paul and I, my writing partner, when we were coming up with an idea a couple of years ago now for what was to be our next film, it was a love story, and it became more and more sci-fi-y, and it headed in that direction. And then eventually I said to him, we could make our first film, we could make this first film a Star Trek film. And he was kind of down with that, and we thought, well, that'll be fun. And that became Chance Encounter. And it went down really well. People seem to like it generally, and it's got, for us, quite a lot of views on YouTube. And we like to make films, so we said, well, let's do at least one more Star Trek film, which is this new one, The Holy Core, and we'll see how it goes.
Is crowdfunding the key for you to getting this project done?
Yeah, I think it is, really. Some of the films we made in the past that weren't Star Trek, they were much lower budget, like maybe £1,000 or something, and we, would chip in that money between us, and we're happy to do that as an exercise just for ourselves. But certainly Chance Encounter was the first thing we'd fundraised for, and it was about, I forget exactly, it was about 1,500 to 2,000 that we raised, which we were very thrilled about, because we'd never done it before. We didn't understand it really, and we were nobody to people. Nobody had heard of us or anything. Of course, each time we make a film, Star Trek or otherwise, we try and up our game and just get better and better at what we're doing. And so this one will be 30 minutes to fit the fan guidelines, whereas the previous one was only 20. And we just want more ambitious. A lot of our first film was set outdoors. We want to avoid that this time, and so a lot more of it is indoors, which means sets. And so the scale of the Holy Core is bigger, and therefore that means even more money than Chance Encounter, and therefore that does mean that it kind of lives or dies on the success of the fundraiser.
Can you give us a little bit of an insight into the plot of the Holy Core?
Sure, to some degree. Obviously, I don't want to go way into detail, otherwise
Absolutely.
It kind of undermines it all. But
can't do spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so broadly, what happens briefly is that our new ship and new crew, which is a Nebula class starship, so it's sort of similar to the Enterprise D. We open our film with our crew helping a planet that's emerged from centuries of religious warfare, and in the last 10 to 20 years they've finally managed to sort of find a reasonably stable peace, and the planet is now working to tidy up all the damage they've done to their world, specifically in the case of our film to the atmosphere. And our crew is going to work with these aliens called the Vitans to help them repair their atmosphere. So that's kind of where we enter the film. We just sort of, that's the first sort of opening teaser, is establishing that. And then the story evolves, and there's some surprises along the way. Things aren't necessarily all in exactly what they seem to be. But what I think is interesting is that unlike Chance Encounter, which was essentially a love story with Star Trek bolted on the side, this one has been written from the ground up as a Star Trek story. So where it goes and the route it takes as the story unfolds is very much like an episode of The Next Generation.
The teaser that you have released, there is an opening title teaser that is on your website. It's really cool. The thing that really drew me into it straight away was the fact that it was a different class of ship that we haven't seen before. It's the Nebula class, as you say. What inspired you for that?
I guess a couple of things. Frankly, it was a 3D model that I could find online that looked good enough to use, because there's various qualities and stuff out there. I mean, people put them out there for free, so there's certainly no complaints, but I didn't want it to be a Galaxy class ship, because I think that's just, I want to differentiate between the Enterprise D and our ship, and so ones that were available that were of kind of high enough standard, it kind of narrowed it down. But frankly, the Nebula class would have been a pretty good one, a good choice anyway. I think I'm very happy with the fact that we've said it, that we're going to use that ship. I forget offhand who authored it, although of course they'll get a credit in the film. But yeah, I mean, I'm no 3D modeler. I have kind of worked to improve the base model I downloaded, so I've added thrusters to it and done this and that, and it's a continuing work modifying and improving that model. So the teaser you mentioned, even since that teaser's come out, I've continued to tweak and work on the model, and will no doubt continue to do it until the very last day of the Holy Core being in post-production. So yeah, but that's kind of the reasoning behind that ship.
It's interesting too that you say that it was born out of necessity, but it actually fits really well conveniently, because of course
Yes.
the Nebula class is a science vessel.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it you know, it really did work out well in that regard. So yeah, as I say, I'm very happy that, you know, circumstance dealt us that hand, because I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Well, fantastic, Gary. Good luck in the Kickstarter campaign. All the details, guys, will be in the link description below, so check that out. It's running throughout March. Gary O'Brien in the UK, thanks so much for your time on today's Trekzone Spotlight.
Thanks, Matt.